Listen to The Brew for the best classic hits of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. KOKL, Okmulgee, Oklahoma.
SJ, welcome to Mvskoke Radio, your weekly source for tribal and community news, interesting guests and discussions, plus a local events calendar. SJ, Stone Go, Gary Fife back in the saddle here.
Darren DeLon here with you.
And I want to say a special thank you to Darren for covering the show for a couple of weeks there while I took some badly needed vacation time.
You're welcome anytime, man.
Well, it felt good to recharge the batteries there and just kind of sit around sometimes and do nothing.
Hey, that was great to hear. I mean, it just feels good just to turn the alarm off and just keep off sleep till what? Probably till 8:30 or something that. Yeah, just something like that.
Every morning it seemed like I would wake up about at 8:30 and thinking, oh, God, that felt good. Okay, well, since we're here back in the studios here of beautiful 1240 The Brew, KOKL, in gorgeous downtown Okmulgee here, we've got a lot of stuff to packed into the show. Darren, you've got some guests here that we need to speak with.
Let's go ahead and get it started. We got our 12th annual Diabetes Awareness Summit. Each year it gets better. Each year they get more little sessions. Each year it gets more popular. I mean, I see more community members, more communities throughout the Mvskoke Creek Nation jurisdiction, and some throughout not even in the jurisdiction, just come make a break for it and come spend the day at these awareness summits. We got two dietitians here, Bree Dale and Tori Fuller. How are y'all doing today?
Good. How are you?
Doing okay. Glad y'all's here today. Glad y'all can make it. Could y'all tell us where we know you're dietitians, but where are y'all located at? Because we know Creek Nation's huge. So which clinic are y'all located in?
I'm at the Sapulpa Clinic.
Okay. Tell the audience.
And I'm Bree.
Okay.
And I'm Tori, and I'm at the Okema Clinic.
Okema Clinic. Okay. We had y'all on the radio before. We had the diabetes department on before, so a lot of people do know that the Awareness Summit is going to be coming up here pretty soon, and it's going to be next Thursday, I believe.
Yes,
is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. With what's coming, what's going to be coming along with the Diabetes Awareness Summit?
So for our general sessions, we have two doctors, Dr. Kevin Morford, who is going to be speaking on Wired for Wellness, building habits in the brain for health and vitality. And then our next general session will be Dr. Vincent, who is a podiatrist, and he'll be talking about stepping above diabetes, so taking care of your feet for people with diabetes.
You know, with that, Dr. Morford, you're talking about bringing up building habits. You know, we always hear that after a certain, a certain period of time, maybe a certain amount of days, that's when it becomes a habit. Is that like some of the things that he's going to be talking about? Like if you just keep doing something that throughout that day, whether it's like healthy eating or something like that, is that what is going to be turning into a habit?
So it's mainly for vitality for the body and the mind.
Okay.
So people with diabetes are more likely to have depression and other mental health issues. So how to keep your mind healthy with diseases like diabetes.
Why? This is a dumb question, we know, but with diabetes, the depression that comes along with it. I mean, we know some people that can. They can fight it. I mean, I guess. They're told that. I mean, that their life. I mean, the life's not over. I mean, they just got to change a few habits, a few things up, and to, be able to progress. But I guess my question is why the depression does come in? Do they feel like they just can't go forward? They just can't move on, or something? Is that something that like that to that extreme?
I would say Yes, it's a chronic disease, so it's something that you have to deal with. And you're right that it is something that is manageable and controllable, and something you can take care of and have a long, healthy life with. But at the same time, you do have to manage it. So I think that does cause a little bit of a scare, especially at first when you first find out. And if you don't know a whole lot about it, it can be just a little overwhelming to hear, oh, I have to change all of these things, and you think I have to change all of this right now all at once, and it gets really overwhelming.
Understandable, yeah, because we know a lot of people that, I mean, even if they don't have diabetes, then they still got to do that before such things like that do happen. You know, they do have to change that quite a bit. They do have to change a lot of things like that. So they would have that problem as well.
Right.
So, I know y'all had a busy summer. The y'all's department, y'all's program. So this is just adding on to it. It's kind of like that. I guess that farewell to the summer, more or less. But both of y'all. I think, do both of y'all have, with the Diabetes Awareness Summit, they have breakout sessions, with throughout the day. Do both of y'all have sessions that y'all's going to be handling? And if y'all do, what could y'all tell our audience about that?
Yeah, we're actually doing one together. So we'll be presenting how to have your cake and eat it too is the name of the topic.
Tell us a little bit about that, please, because you already drew me in with cake. So, I mean, you already started the morning right, so let's go ahead and go with that.
So the presentation is everything that you can do for meal planning and learn how to use your portion and your balance on your daily habits. So making those changes throughout the day for portion control, meal planning to make everything fit, including that cake.
So you still can eat those, those foods that we were told. I mean, we were told not to, you need to stay away from. You can still kind of eat that, but just portion it. Is that correct?
Right.
All right. Whenever I go to these diabetes awareness summits, you always see these plates, and they show these little portion things. And I've tried it before, and don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna lie, it was tough, but it was very, very, after a while it was doable. You can do it. I'm not gonna lie, I fell off the handle a couple times, but when you get back to it, it works. It does work. You'll see what you're doing, but that's what I guess I was afraid of, more or less. You couldn't eat the great things that you want to do, that you would like to eat, the cake, the I'm going to say the candy. We were always told that you can. You can, but you just got to moderate it. And that's what y'all was going to be talking about in your sessions?
Yes.
What other sessions that's going to be going on that, I know they're all going to be great sessions, but, maybe just if y'all can just name a few that, that y'all's going to be, that's going to be going on that day.
So some of our other sessions are going to be taking care of your eyes, for our teeth, open wide and see the dentist. Passion for pots, so gardening, and that's something that I really encourage my patients to do so that you have those fresh produce available all year round if you're able to can and stuff like that. So I really promote the gardening. Yearly diabetes visits, which is something that we promote for all of our patients to get a checkup, get their labs done, things like that. So we'll have each of those different sessions. We'll also have some activity breaks, such as gentle yoga, Zumba, powwow aerobics, and then Darren, you're going to be doing a dancing class. So tell us about that.
Well, of course, everybody knows. We've talked about it before that I have became an instructor as of last year. Well, probably around 2016. Bachata is a Latin style of dance, and it's similar to salsa in a way. And we're not talking about chips and salsa. We're talking about the dance. So, but it's like we said, it's a Latin style of dance that I want to kind of share with everybody, and just show everybody that you can move. You can move around and still, just the funny thing about it is, even though I'm not, the dances that I do don't always have to be on a dance floor. I do this dancing when I'm cleaning, whenever I'm vacuuming, and I'm ashamed that I'm telling y'all this on live radio right now, on AM and FM. That's the thing about it is, but it's just things right there. And plus, another thing I like to, whenever I did this last year, I was telling everybody how to hold their posture up and be able to use their core to keep their balance, and it's stuff like that that I was taught by my instructors. And they really they taught me all this because mainly it was just to be able to make my partner look better. Well, I changed it around to make yourself look better while you're dancing, because a lot of the times whenever you're dancing, you're probably not always going to have a partner, but you're still going to be able to dance. So that's what I wanted to kind of share with everybody, and I wanted to be able to do it again, and I was very, very glad to be invited back to the sessions.
Yeah, we're really glad that you'll be back. The activity sessions are a lot of fun. Yours was really popular last year. Yeah. I know that I'm going to come to yours because I can't dance at all. So
well, and I used to dance all the way up through college, and I know that is a great way to get active. So that's something that we can promote as another way to be active for our participants to get that activity in,
right.
Which is great.
It's a fun way to be active. It doesn't always have to be
running or
exercise doesn't have to be something that you hate doing. It should be something you like to do.
And one thing about it is, like with and nothing against it, I love bachata music. It is a Dominican style of music. I mean, throughout the years they have changed it to urban style of music. They just kind of like mix it up a little bit, but it is like an 8 count. So we hear and since you've danced, we always heard like a 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, in today's music, a lot of music has that 8 count. So I was wanting to be able to try and kind of mix in those steps from that bachata music to today's music too, so they can still see that they can still dance to their own yes, anybody who's an athlete, anybody who's just listens to music can find a beat. I promise you that. So we're just going to be able to try and show those examples. So that's what I want to try and show this time. So, but yes, I want to go ahead and that was one of the things I was wanting to tell. But is there any other things that you want to make an announcement on about the Diabetes Awareness Summit?
So the only other thing that I was going to mention was our risk assessment, our health screenings, and that's something that's very popular as well. So please bring yourself, your family, anybody who is interested in finding out if they're at risk for diabetes, or if you haven't been, seen in a while. If you do have diabetes, we do have that health screening so that you can see what your blood pressure, your BMI, your body height weight ratio, and your health risks are for diabetes or pre-diabetes.
Is there like an age category for this Diabetes Awareness Summit, or is it open?
It's open.
I know we have school and everything going on right now, but I mean, is it open for all ages?
Yeah, we want whole families to come. Everybody has a chance to learn.
I mean, because we understand that. I mean, unfortunately, diabetes is open to all ages if you don't, take care of yourself too. So we want to be able to show everybody that diabetes prevention is open to all ages as well. So please tell our audience, where is the Diabetes Awareness Summit going to be at this year?
The Diabetes Summit is going to be at the Glenpool Conference Center. The address is 12205 South Yukon Avenue, and that's in Glenpool, Oklahoma.
Great to hear, because you know what, my first dance performance was at that place, so I know it pretty well. If they have any more information, or if anybody's wanting to ask anything else about the Diabetes Awareness Summit, is there any numbers that they can call to just to talk about the summit, or just any questions in general? Is there any numbers?
So you can get a hold of any of the diabetes clinics within the different sites. We have one at each site, so Sapulpa, Coweta, Okemah, Eufaula, and Okmulgee. Or you can contact Dwayne Meadows at 918-752-7949, or Kimberly Little at 918-637-9684.
Bree, Tori, I want to thank you very much for coming down here to the Brew today and talking on Mvskoke Radio about the Diabetes Awareness Summit. It's very, very important to get this, be able to get this summit out, but it's very, very important that we need to let people know about diabetes prevention, and if you do have it, what's going on. So I want to thank you all for coming out today.
Yes, thanks for having us.
We are going to take a quick break, and we're going to be coming back here with a recorded segment with Mia Prickett, so stay tuned to Mvskoke Radio.
Red Stick Gallery in Okmulgee, Oklahoma features items handmade or designed by Mvskoke Creek enrolled citizens from all over. Owned by the Mvskoke Creek Nation, the gallery proudly sells ribbon skirts and vests, Southeastern designed clothing, jewelry, prints, and many other items. For more information, visit www.creeknationgiftshop.com. Red Stick Gallery, located 105 South Grand Avenue in historic downtown Okmulgee.
I started doing it when I was 11. I wanted to be just like my big brother. And some of my friends were already doing it. We got hooked fast. I just can't get enough. I'm Jacob, and I'm addicted to playing the drums.
There's lots of stuff that makes it cool to be Native. Doing meth isn't one of them. Find something better to do. Check out ncai.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Welcome back to Mvskoke Radio. We just had to take a quick break here on The Brew, 1240 AM, 106.3 FM. I did a pre-recorded interview with a lady by the name of Mia Prickett. It was during the time that Gary was off. She is with a member of the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde. And a few years back, she was disenrolled from her tribe, and she'll explain all of this in the interview. But she talks about her disenrollment, her family's disenrollment, all the situations that went on through that, and her fight to be enrolled. To get enrolled back into her tribe, or just to reverse that decision. So. Here, please listen to it. It's a very important story. So this is my interview with Mia Prickett.
Of course. My name is Mia Prickett. I live in the Portland, Oregon area. I am a member of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde and descend directly from Chief Tummis, who is the first chief of the Watwalla Cascade Indians. My mother is Pamela Anderson Liedelmeyer. My grandmother is Joan Anderson Walker. Her mother is Dora Williams Walker, and her mother was Abby Stuklin, and her mother was Indian Mary, also known as Kalaya Tummis, who is the daughter of Chief Tummis and his wife Susan.
Okay. Could you tell me, where is, you might have already mentioned it already, but where is the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde located at?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, the reservation is located about 70 miles southwest of Portland, Oregon, out towards Lincoln City by the coast. So about 40 miles from Lincoln City and about probably 30 miles from Salem and about 70 miles from Portland. And Salem is the capital of the state of Oregon.
Okay. About how many members, and this can be an approximate, about how many members does the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde have?
There is about 5,500 to about 6,000 members globally of the Grand Ronde tribe. I would say that the vast majority live in the United States, and we have, I would say, I'm probably going to get this wrong, so forgive me, Grand Ronde listeners. I want to say we have about 3,500 in the state of Oregon.
Okay. Mia, there was an unfortunate event that happened to you and members of your family. And could you, please tell us about that, what happened?
Yeah, sure. So back in September of 2013, me and my extended family all received certified letters in the mail from our tribe that said that, I guess we got notices of potential disenrollment that said there was an enrollment audit that had been recently performed. And what they found was that we were enrolled in error because at the time of our enrollment, we did not meet the lineal descent requirements. And so we went through this terrible cycle where they ended up disenrolling 87 members of our family, which is our entire band. Grand Ronde is comprised of 27 bands of Indians, dropping the number down to 26. And they enrolled 87 members of our family, including those who had walked on. So we had members of our family who were disenrolled posthumously.
You said an entire band was pretty much disenrolled from the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde?
That is correct.
What was that reason again? Why were they disenrolling you and your family?
Yeah, they said that we were enrolled in error, and that we should have never qualified for enrollment because we don't have the proper lineal descent requirements. And the lineal descent requirements they were referring to is that in our Constitution, it states that you must descend from I guess you must have a ancestor on any roll or record. And as I mentioned previously, we descend from a treaty-signing chief, or I don't know if I mentioned that, but Chief Thomas did sign the Treaty of 1855, which is known as the Willamette Valley Treaty, or the Treaty with the Calapooya. He signed that in 1855 prior to his murder, ceding his lands to the United States government for a safe and permanent home, not only safe from the white settlers and the government, but also from other hostile Indians. And as part of that treaty was ratified in 1857, and that officially formed the Grand Ronde Reservation. And technically, they did not view, or do not currently view, the treaty as a record of the tribe suitable for enrollment purposes. We also have his wife on the very first census in 1872, but there is a misspelling of her last name, and so they didn't accept that either, which is what we found out during our proceedings.
Now, when you're saying the people, with my tribe, the Mvskoke Creek Nation, we have our own citizenship board. That's the people, or that's the department that does the enrollment of for our members, and also the disenrollment too. Does the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde, your tribe, do they have like a similar department or citizenship board that does that as well?
Yes, we have an enrollment board which is all volunteer based.
Okay.
And I believe it is comprised of, it's either 7 or 9 members. And originally, that's who these disenrollment notifications would have come from our enrollment board. And that's also who would have approved our enrollment to begin with. We've been enrolled, at this time, we had already been enrolled for 27 years. So what would have originally happened is that the enrollment board would have reviewed our application for enrollment and asked questions, reviewed records, and made a decision. In our case, they had unanimously decided and voted to allow for our enrollment, which then went to our tribal council, which is a 9-person council, and it was approved unanimously by that council as well. So 27 years later, we got a letter from a member of our member services department stating that due to an audit that happened, they found that we no longer qualified, and had put us forward on a path of what they considered to be quote-unquote potential disenrollment.
To me, to me, when a person is disenrolled, they lose a lot more than citizenship. They lose their culture. They lose their heritage. And was this true for you, Mia? And could you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. So there is one thing to be said about disenrollment and losing heritage, is that you never really lose your culture, right? It's part of who you are as a Native person. You know where you come from, but it does not stop the gut-wrenching and heartbreaking feeling that you are no longer welcome, right? It's like being divorced from your family as a child, right? Like they've left you behind, you've been abandoned, you are essentially culturally homeless. And it's a terrible, terrible feeling. So while you can't take somebody's culture from them by stripping your citizenship and stripping your membership, that it doesn't change that. Like in my family, we have one of my cousins is pretty much fluent in our language, which is very rare. We have doctors, we have engineers, we have business executives, we have teachers. We're a very well-educated family. And so it was really hard for us to just sit here and be told, you don't belong here anymore. Mm-hmm. We don't like you. You don't belong here. When we can trace our lineage back, for me, seven generations. There's not a lot of families who can trace back 150 years and be like, this is where I come from. This is his wife. This is her daughter. This is her husband. These are their children. And that is my great-grandmother. And I have photos all the way back to, the late 1800s that, we can show that. So, like, for us, while it was very hard to be like, to have that feeling of like this part of your identity stripped away and taken, right? We've always identified ourselves as Native people, mm-hmm. and to feel now like homeless and not know where to go. And when we go to the reservation and we go to the tribe and we go to powwow and we go to, to Sweat Lodge and Longhouse and all of these things, and just feeling unwelcome and out of place and having this constant hostile environment and not knowing what to do, who to talk to, who your advocates are, who your enemies are, was very, very draining and very challenging.
I have to ask, after this board, this volunteer board that ruled, I guess that's the right word, would be ruled that saying that y'all were disenrolled. Was there did you seem that there was like a vendetta against your family or Yes.
Go ahead. I'll let you finish your question.
No, yeah. That was it. Yeah. Was there a vendetta against your family or something, or did you all think that?
So we are a casino tribe, so we're a wealthy tribe. But like the Cherokee Nation, most of our funds go into programs for our members. We really take care of our membership in terms of health care and education and elder housing and things like that. But we do get a small per capita disbursement, which is, I will say, is one of the first things that non-native news outlets ask me is, how much money are you losing? What's on the line? And I was like, it's not about the money. In our family's opinion, and in my opinion in particular, I believe it was a political move. At the time, the tribal council that approved the audit and told the Member Services Department to put out these disenrollment proceedings and start the disenrollment, or actually to put the letters and start the disenrollment proceedings, I believe did not like us because we opposed a lot of the things that they were doing and were loud, and we vote.
Yes.
And I believe that this political faction had some motivation to remove as many members from the rolls as possible. At one point, it was rumored that they were targeting 1,500 people for disenrollment, which is close to 30% of our tribe. And we were the first family to be hit for lineal descent, and we are the last family to be hit for lineal descent. There were 13 categories. Again, this is rumored that they were planning to file for disenrollment proceedings, with the first one being dual citizenship for those people who had been enrolled in two tribes, and then followed by lineal descent and getting down to things like blood quantum and adoption. And the details have never been released on that. But this was overheard by a member, by an employee who was an advocate of ours, had overheard another employee mention it, who worked in the Member Services Department, as if she was bragging about it. And I'm proud to say that we fought so hard that disenrollment proceedings have officially stopped in Grand Ronde. But to kind of get back to your question of whether or not there was like a vendetta, I think that it all comes around our power that we can wield when we come together and we vote. Because as a 9-person council, we have elections for 3 council members every year for a 3-year term. And if you vote, right, just like in national elections and local elections, when you vote in your tribal council elections, you can wield a lot of power and you can turn the tide. And so as a result, right now that political faction has been voted out and is no longer in power, and as a result, disenrollment proceedings have stopped.
That's great to hear. Congratulations on that. And
Thank you.
What happened because of that? That rolled into my that next question. After receiving that notice about the disenrollment, what did you and your family do? Like, what were those next steps to to try and get your citizenship back?
Yeah, so once we were notified of our potential disenrollment, we had 30 days to request a hearing with the enrollment committee to have them re-review our case. And if we did not request a meeting with them, we would subsequently be disenrolled and removed from the membership without further proceedings. So after we applied for a hearing, and mind you, this is for 87 people, so it was a very large set of hearings. We all had to have individual hearings.
Wow.
And present the same information to the same people, so it was a large effort to make sure that we all had the same information and the same process. We hired an attorney early on. We hired the law firm of Galanda Broadman to help us with this. They're a great law firm that is well known to fight disenrollment through Indian country. So if anybody listening is currently fighting a battle, I suggest you reach out to Gabe Galanda at Galanda Broadman to help. But once we started this proceeding, we went through a number of hearings with the enrollment committee, and a lot of them were, multiple points. And then they referred back their decision to tribal council, and we presented to tribal council before them for them to be able to make a decision. And in what we believed was going to be a 5-4 vote, they passed an emergency amendment, pulling themselves out of the process to make decisions, which then put us back to to the enrollment board, which proceeded to disenroll us. At that point, we then went and filed an appeal with tribal court, and our first appeal went against us. Mm-hmm. And we appealed to the higher tribal court, which is the Tribal Court of Appeals, and we filed that suit on August 20th, 2014. So a year into fighting this, we finally went to court, and then 2 years later, on August 5th, 2016, we got the opinion back from the Tribal Court of Appeals that fully reversed the lower court's ruling, which reinstated us as full members with prejudice.
Congratulations on that. Again, I have to say that over and over. You might hear that a couple more times on that.
Thank you, Darren. And I will say this, that I do believe, and I could be wrong, but I do believe that our court case is the first one of its kind setting precedents against disenrollment in Indian country. So it's a really big case, I think, for anybody or coming up against disenrollment, because the opinion and the ruling cited estoppel and laches, which essentially means that for those of you who don't speak legal jargon, and I apologize for those of you who do speak legal jargon, I'm probably not going to get this right, but estoppel and laches essentially mean that it's a stale claim, that it took them 27 years to decide that they have a role error, and that the delay has become unreasonable without a good explanation for the delay. And then the ruling further went on to state that the enrollment board did not prove or meet the burden of proof for disenrollment, and that tribal membership is as important as United States citizenship. So to be able to strip that, you need to be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it is warranted and that the tribe did not meet that burden of proof for us.
How long was that total before the reinstatement of your the citizenship?
Sure. So we were, it was a 3-year process of fighting disenrollment. We tried to fight it from a political standpoint. We tried to fight it from a social media standpoint, kind of trying to change the public opinion. In this process, we found out that our newspaper, the Smoke Signals, was not a free press, but in fact was being used as a propaganda piece by tribal council. In the 3-year process from almost to 3 years or 2 years and 11 months, in that process from September 20th, 2013 to August 5th, 2016, there was not a note or not even a line in our Smoke Signals about disenrollment. All articles that they wanted to write about it were shut down by tribal council and told that if they were to write anything about it, it had to be from the perspective that tribal council is trying to uphold the tribal constitution. Sounds a little bit familiar if anybody is watching the news today.
Yep.
But yeah, our process took 3 years, and we were provisionally disenrolled for 2 of those years. At least 2 of those years, I would say. And provisional disenrollment for us meant that they stripped our voting rights, they stripped our membership. They didn't graciously allow us to keep our health care, but we had tribal elders who lived in tribal housing who had to move. We had tribal elders who relied on their pensions from the tribe to live on and became homeless. And actually, we have 2 tribal members who passed in that 2-year window after becoming disenrolled.
Oh, goodness.
Very heartbreaking for them to walk on and, feeling culturally homeless and void. I think one of my uncles, died heartbroken over this. This was his, the only way he identified himself.
Exactly. That is heartbreaking to hear. Looking back, now that the decision is reversed, and what was going through your mind then, hearing that that ruling, and and now, currently, what is going through your mind?
Absolutely. So I will say that those members of our family who were disenrolled posthumously are still not on the rolls.
Oh.
They have never been able to reclaim their membership because we were not able to file on their behalf.
I see. You
had to file yourself. And so if you did not file, you're removed. So we have some family members who, we have family members, for example, Darren, who are buried in the Grand Ronde Cemetery and are on our Veterans Wall, who have been removed from the rolls. So this goes to answer your question of, when at the time when we were reinstated, it was absolute vindication and joy. We do belong, and this was a good fight, and we did the right thing, and we can stop disenrollment. Disenrollment doesn't have to be a thing that scars Indian country. Disenrollment can be something. It can be the black eye that we put to bed. We have the power to stop it if we come together, if we fight it. This is something that we can't stop, and that's still the view now for the family. We still think that every time we hear that someone is using our court case to stop disenrollment, we are happy and we are prideful of that, and that is something that we are very excited about and feel blessed that we've had the opportunity to take that fight on for the 10,000 natives that this affects across 17 states, excuse me. And now our goal now is to make sure that we get the younger generation who is just coming up and being able to vote, to get them involved and engaged with the tribe and to reclaim our culture and to be more involved in the goings-on the reservation. Our family has always lived in our ceded lands, which is, the Portland area and up in the Columbia River Gorge, where our family is from. So, we're anywhere from 70 to 150 miles away from the reservation on a pretty regular basis. But a lot of our family members, including myself, have made a commitment to making sure that the tribe is moving in a way that is positive for our children, whether they get to be enrolled or not. So we, like myself, I'm on the editorial board for Smoke Signals. I have an aunt who now sits on the enrollment board. I have a cousin who's a ceremonial hunter. I have another cousin who, like I mentioned, speaks the language and helps teach the language. I have there's members of our family that are on canoe journey every year. We're just trying to make sure that we are as involved as we can be to help better the tribe. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. We're in a mode of trying to heal, because there's definitely people who are pro-disenrollment, or I should say disenrollment advocates of disenrollment, who still think that despite the court decision, we don't belong, and they slander us and say terrible things about us online, and essentially we get trolled on a daily basis.
Oh, wow.
And that's probably not going to stop anytime soon, but we are confident that with time, people will see them for who they are and see us for who we are, and we can only hope that they decide that we do belong, because we know that we do, and our elders know that we do, and that's all that's important.
Whenever I got the honor to meet you, I mean, it was at our nausea conference.
Right.
You helped me to understand that. I mean, it was an unfortunate event, like we said, that this happened in your tribe, the Confederate Tribes of the Grand Ronde. But you made me aware that it's not only happening there; it's numerous tribes throughout the country. Mm-hmm. If you know, maybe right offhand, or maybe of a number of tribes, or maybe an approximate number of people who might be disenrolled, do you happen to know that? Maybe like.
Yeah. So from my last check was about a year ago, when I last looked into this. But my current understanding of the numbers is that there are over 10,000 natives who are currently fighting or facing disenrollment, or who have been disenrolled, and that it affects tribes in 17 states, I believe, as of last year. So what that means is that there are 10,000 native people who have lost their cultural home, who have lost the feeling of belonging, who are facing essentially, continued colonization and self-extinction. I'm sure, Darren, that you've heard this, but we are the only people who are classified based on our blood quantum, and the only other thing that we do this to are dogs, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, my dog is half Labrador and half Rottweiler, or it's 100% Doberman Pinscher, or it's a mutt of some kind. We are the only people who are classified by our quantity of blood. Mm-hmm. So in that self-extinction capacity and continuation of colonization, Native tribes have taken to disenrollment for whatever purpose. I think it's either monetary or political. And our opponents always say, we're not trying to tell you that you're not Native, you just don't belong here. Well, when the United States government requires you, in order to classify yourself as a Native person, to be an enrolled member of a tribe, stripping that changes that person's self-identity and that ability to self-identify. So this is something that is very unique to Native people, and it needs to stop as soon as possible. So there's a lot of really great resources out there. If you are interested in disenrollment, Professor David Wilkins is a great authority on the topic. And I know that, just north of me, up in the Seattle, Puget Sound area, the Mvskoke Nation is facing some major disenrollment battles that have been going on longer than ours. It would be at least 6 years now that there's a 300-member family who has been disenrolled based on a political squabble. And it's just devastating.
Thank you, Mia, for taking the time out of your day to be able to talk to us about what you and your family went through on this disenrollment from your tribe, but also the triumph that you and your family went through on getting this ruling reversed. And is there anything else you would like to add before we end this?
The only thing I want to add is that if anybody is looking for our court case, it is Alexander versus the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, and you have the power to stop disenrollment. So be vocal, stand up, don't be afraid, and do what's right.
That was Mia Prickett with the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde in Oregon. We are going to take another short break here at Mvskoke Radios, and we will be coming back with announcements and some other talks with Gary Fife and see how everything went with his vacation. So please stay tuned to Mvskoke Radio here on The Brew.
Who am I? Am I Indian? Just 'cause I'm a girl from the res, don't make things up about me. What if I move away? Then who am I? Some kids try meth just to escape. But then I think about my grandma, my little brother, my beadwork, my poetry, and I think, I like who I am, and I know meth is not for me.
Check out ncai.org, a message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Welcome back to Mvskoke Radio, here on The Brew, 106.3 FM, 1240 AM. Gary, how was your 2 weeks off? I really haven't even got to talk to you since you made it back. You just pretty much came back to it and started getting everything ready for your radio shows, and I've just been doing my work. So how's everything going?
Well, first of all, it was a much needed time for me to kind of relax and recharge my batteries, when you get some time off. And one of my goals was to get a chance to sit around and do absolutely nothing. And my wife would say, yeah, you managed to meet that goal, okay. But, sleeping late was high on my list of priorities there. It's like you wake up at about 8:30, thinking, oh, God, that felt good. Mm-hmm. And you don't feel like you want to go out and shoot the alarm clock,
Yeah.
Just kind of ease into your day. A cup of coffee and, maybe a movie in the morning or something like that. And catch up on a lot of things like that you might want to do, like, so a little bit of reading here and there, some research on the web for other schemes. Mm-hmm. And, of course, there are always projects around the house that you have to do,
Yeah.
And of course, the lawn and things like that, stuff in the garage. A few of those kind of honeydews that, your wife wanted. Well, I just, I bought this new roll-top desk, and guess what? We're going to try and squeeze it into the den. Well, luckily the sucker came apart, so I could put the parts in there. So it was good. I listened to you do the show the first time around, and thinking, yeah, this kid's getting pretty good at this. So I better be careful here. He's going to be wanting more of this, which is not bad. But then a little bit of kind of goofing around. We went out to dinner here and there, and just enjoyed the time together, and of course taking care of our friendly beasties. Mm-hmm. Dog and cat now need to go to the vet and need food and all this stuff that pet owners know that. But it was kind of interesting to see, the news that was going on about the Native peoples around the country, and particularly here. Things like the renaming of the elementary school to Council Oak. Yeah, and then, the coverage that we saw of the Patrick Murphy case, there was a little of that, and then the gambling, craps and roulette. Yeah. And now people can lose money in a faster fashion. Yeah. And I was kind of, for the most part, pleased with the coverage that the outside media gave those subjects. And I didn't see anything that really outraged me. what do you mean, that's a cute name, kind of for a school. Or, Robert E. Lee was named that this community owes a lot to. We didn't hear that kind of thing. Intelligent discussions and presentations of balanced reports. So I was thinking, the news media around here has gotten a lot better at what we do, at what it does, rather, and what we do. I was, be checking up on our website online and seeing the coverage there of the really important top stories that we needed to do, and then a lot of the smaller human kind of things that we like to find out. And we have a chance now to chat with somebody that we're going to be losing here pretty quick.
Well, better get her on the line.
You better get her on the line there. Good morning.
Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. We're trying to get somebody on the line that we're going to be talking to.
Okay, let me punch you up and we'll get you online.
So that's who he's talking to right now. So we forgive us, ladies and gentlemen. We are trying to get that situated right there.
You still there? Oops.
Think he might have hung up on her.
Yep. Okay, we'll keep trying that one again.
That person that he's talking, there she is. Hold on, let's try this again. Let's go. Let's try not go 0 for 2.
Here we are again. Dang it, are you there?
Let's 0 for 2.
Yeah, 0 for 2. Let's hope she's not disgusted with us and tries it again. Yeah, come on,
she might
girl.
have given up on that.
Answer the phone, hit top button again, middle button to send the board.
Gary's pretty much learning on the job training right here how to answer the phone and while we're live. So that's what he's doing right now.
Hello.
So please bear with us. And you just heard a thump right
here
there.
Here we are again. Now, let's see if we can't get this sucker done correctly this time. Hold on. Okay, are you there with us? Are you on the line?
I'm here.
Okay, great. We're speaking with Jessica McBride, who, unfortunately, we are losing to Texas. Is that right?
Oh, well, it doesn't matter where I'm going, Gary. It's my last day, but I figured I'd talk about some of the things that we've done here in the last 5 years that I've been here at Mvskoke Media and where we've come from and now where we're going.
Well, you've filled a lot of shoes and occupied a lot of different positions while in that time period. Of course, when you were hired as a journalist, as a reporter, and for a bit there, you were kind of drafted into working for the administration under the former principal chief, right?
That's right. I got hired on in August 2013, actually, as a reporter for the Mvskoke Nation News, and so I started there, and then, of course, you got moved straight to radio, and so there was a vacant editorial assistant position, and so I expressed some interest, and I got moved into that position, and then after, I believe it was probably a year after that, there was a need to fill some public relations type work as well as stories for the newspaper. And so I filled that position, of course, and then we get into when the council passed free press in 2015. And so I came with Mvskoke Media under the free press bill and became managing editor. So it's been actually a short 5 years.
Wasn't it kind of weird being the person who wrote the press release and then essentially had to report on it?
It kind of was, because the point of the press release is to get the information out beforehand. One, so the press knows about it, and two, so the public knows about it. And so it was almost doing, it was weird to go in and write the press release and then go to the event, cover the event, and then write the follow-up piece, for the newspaper after the event. It gets, a lot of people don't understand the difference between public relations and journalism. And, public relations, you're trying to promote, an organization or a cause or whatever that may be. And the journalist is, documenting it for the public to review. And so you put on one hat and say, okay, let's promote this event, and then take that hat off and put on another hat and say, okay, what basic information do I need to relay to the public on this?
Oh, but I think you did a pretty good job in maintaining your sanity while you had to work both sides of the road there. Now, did you ever take any cheap shots from anybody about doing that?
About doing both jobs?
Yeah. Other than the teasing from your colleagues.
I got teased a lot, but I mean, I did what I had to do. That's what the position called for, and so, that's kind of what I did. Now, for me, it was kind of a breath of fresh air. Once we got free press pass, I no longer had to do that, and I no longer had to worry about, wearing two different hats and getting two different, almost two different jobs done. After free press passed, I, became a journalist, full time, and was responsible to the citizens and reporting to the public, and so I say it's easier, but you and I both know, Gary, sometimes it's not easy, being a journalist. You get people that get mad at you because they think that you didn't write a flattering story, when your job isn't necessarily to write a flattering story. It's just to give the facts. Here's the facts, and the public looks at them and decides whether this is a good thing or a bad thing or whatever. So, going from doing two jobs at once to, being just a journalist, it wasn't, I say it was an easy transition because I didn't have to worry about the flip side of things, but that doesn't always mean that it was, an easy job per se, because now I'm responsible to the citizens and telling them what they need to know and what the facts are, and sometimes it may appear bad on some people.
Well, that's, let me interrupt you right there, because that's an important thing for us to communicate. Over the course of my, 40 years at this, I heard a lot of the same kind of comment, like, why are you putting our dirty laundry out there? And, well, if somebody made it dirty, then we need to know why and how, and et cetera, and tell our people the truth.
Yeah.
Now, in the transition from the older model where we were, let's say, supervised closely by the administration, to a free press, what did you see? What did you feel in making that move from a closed world into one where you were free to do what you felt was the responsibilities of your job?
Well, we didn't have to sugarcoat things anymore. Our job, when you report to the administration, you're beholden to the administration, and so if the administration doesn't like something, they can guide you in the way they want you to report. And so it was kind of liberating once we got free press, and we're able, to tell citizens exactly what was going on in meetings, and things that we felt that they need to know, and try to answer some of their questions. And I think the citizens really appreciated that too, because for the first time they could ask questions. We're their eyes and ears on the ground, and so even if they couldn't be there, they could, call us, message us on Facebook or what have you, and say, hey, you went to that meeting the other night, what happened? What about this? Did they think about this? And ask questions of their government. That's the purpose of a free press. I mean, it's sometimes we've got some cute stories, some feature stories, but at the end of the day, our job isn't to make anybody look good or look bad. It's simply to state, here is what is going on, here are the facts, here's what the documents say, here's what this person said, and let the citizens react. And if they react during an election, that's how they react. If they call and complain to an organization, that's what happens. If they decide this is a very good thing and want to be a part of it, that's another type of reaction. We're not supposed to push a certain reaction. We're just supposed to state the facts.
Right, and I think it was good for our souls to be able to do that. Okay, well, we got to wrap this thing up and get out of here. Darren, anything you want to kick in?
No.
No? Okay.
I'm speechless.
All right, well, we wish you the best of luck, Jessica. It's been good working with you.
It's been great.
We
Thank you.
enjoyed it, and we will miss you.
Well, thank
Very
you. I'll
much.
miss you all, too, and it's been a pleasure working with both of you.
Okay. All right, that wraps it up for Mvskoke Radio. We're out of here. You've been listening to Mvskoke Radio. Join us again next week for more local, tribal, and community news and updates. But